Hello, beautiful ladies. Welcome to Wamen Hour, or should I say Woman Hour, as I once again am not joined by any other Wamen, or indeed any other women tonight. Cows has let me down. There's no other way to put it, really. She said she was coming and she's not here. It's just not good enough, but it's fine. We fight on, and I can do the show on my own. I don't even need co-hosts. I'm all right. But she isn't even the first woman to let me down tonight. I was going to have Galatea, also known as the Authentic Observer, on Women's Hour tonight. She unfortunately has flu, so at least she has a good excuse. I know what it's like to come down with flu suddenly and not not be able to meet your commitment. So I certainly won't begrudge her that. But I'd like to get together with her in the future, fairly soon. I've got a lot of interesting questions to ask her. If you've ever watched her channel, I'm sure you'll look forward to her appearing in future subsequent episodes. But without further ado, I guess we should just get on with the. Actually, I won't make one more apology, which is what my face is covered in spots and horrible sores. Can you tell? I've come down with a rash that I caught from, when you're a parent, you catch not just every single cold and flu that goes around the area, but also exotic diseases you never even knew existed. So I've got I've got a bit of a rash on my face. It also went on my hands. I really looked like quite a sight to see this week. It's getting a little bit better now, so I should be better in time for my Christmas party next week. We'll see. If you didn't catch my live stream this Wednesday, I had most of this week off work, and on Wednesday I streamed playing Resident Evil 4 for 14 hours, pretty much non-stop. And I discovered that YouTube does not let you record a live stream for more than 12 hours. So you can watch the first 12 hours of me playing Resident Evil 4 on Wednesday, but the last 2 hours won't be recorded. They just lost the ether. The people who were there know what went down, but it'll never be redeemed. It's just gone. But yeah, if you like that game, you might get a kick out of watching me play it. Never played it before, experiencing it all pretty much for the first time, being vaguely aware of a lot of the things about it. But it was quite intense there for a while. That was great. But tonight, let's just get on with the topic, which is one of my own choosing. When Cal said she was free tonight, I wanted to talk to her about Bluey, because it's a TV show that we both like. She has a child of a similar age to my oldest daughter. It's not her own child, but it's a child who lives in her house, who she helps to care for. So we both had a similar experience of putting on this random cartoon, Bluey. The only reason I put it on is because I happened to have Disney Plus at the time, and I have a strong preference for 2D animation over 3D, so I was looking for any 2D animations that there were, and I just saw this cartoon Bluey about a dog, and I put it on, and I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty funny, quite wholesome and heartfelt, not like really sentimental, but just with enough there, if you know what to look for, that it's very sweet. And since then, since I noticed it, it's become I'm not taking credit for it, but it's become a huge phenomenon, not just in Australia, which is where it's from, but on Reddit, online, toys, fandom, fan theories, just completely skyrocketed. It's a sensation, just like what Peppa Pig did for English cartoon industry. Bluey has had a similar impact on Australia and the world. It's become a cultural export of Australia. I really enjoy it. We've got Lady of Shalott in the chat. Lady of Shalott, if you want to join, just go ahead and send me an email. You can join right now, because I don't have any other woman here, and if you've seen Bluey, you should definitely be on this episode. So I'll keep my inbox open, and I'm completely serious. Send me an email if you want to be on the show, even if you can't make it for a whole hour. It'd be great to have you, because I do like to natter with another woman on a Friday. Otherwise, it's not really Women's Hour, is it? It's just like what I did on on Wednesday talking to myself for a few hours. Yeah, I probably won't go for an hour tonight, by the way, just because I'm on my own. So what I wanted to say about Bluey, it's such a good show. I don't know if I'd recommend it for adults, but I will say that it's much better than much television I've seen for adults. Like, I'd rather watch Bluey over a lot of TV shows that I've seen adults enjoying that it's made for adults. It's good. I'm not sure I'd advise it for anyone who doesn't have children, but if you do have children, I think this is a great show to watch with them. And I know that the creator, I've seen like interviews with him where he talks about how he was trying to capture that market, the watch together market, they call it in the children's television industry, where you want to make a show that it's like cocaine to children, where they just want to keep consuming it, but it's something that the parents not only approve of, but something that they want to watch with the children. And the parents ultimately are the ones who buy the merchandise and buy the Blu-rays. So they, if the parents like it, that's all the better. Even better than the children liking it in some ways. And yeah, it definitely hits that mark. It's not just funny. I keep comparing it to Peppa Pig because that's kind of what the creator was going for. The creator enjoyed Peppa Pig, which is of course a very English show, and it's got that kind of English wit and irony, this kind of very quite subtle sense of humor actually, where there's a lot of jokes in there that it's not like they're adult in nature, like they're not referring to adult things, it's just that it's a quite subtle, sophisticated level of humor. There's a lot conveyed in kind of the performance and the tone of voice, and Peppa Pig is quite good, but I have to say that Bluey completely blows it out of the water. I think it does that. There's also jokes like that in Bluey, but on top of that, it's also got the actual stories are so grounded in reality and observational that it makes. I've seen a lot of people saying that Bluey makes them feel seen. Like the makers of Bluey understand the experiences that modern day parents go through. You're watching a TV show made by someone who really understands your life. That's what it means to feel seen. And all of the characters are dogs of various breeds. They are extremely human and very real. Obviously they are cartoon characters, but there's a lot of they have a very messy car, for instance. I've seen someone on Reddit pointing this out, that the back seat of Bluey's car, the kids don't just jump in the back seat like in Peppa Pig. There's actually like a car seat in there that the kids are strapped into. They've got their like snacks and their jumpers and hats and things scattered over the back seat. Just like someone took a photograph of a real life back seat of a car and drew everything that was actually in it. And that goes doubly for all of the behaviors, all of these weird quirks that the children are voiced by actual children. They have sort of stammering little speech impediments the way that real children do. The parents are often, not really often, but they're sometimes shown being quite tired, quite exasperated, a bit overworked. But overall, the parents, Bluey's parents, that is, are shown to be very engaged with their children to almost to an unrealistic degree. Like, they really enjoy playing with Bluey and Bingo, their children characters. That's really the focus of the show, is just the games that they come up with. The episodes are mostly named after whatever game it is that they're playing in the show, and it's only 7 minutes long, but you get a lot. It's like loads of tiny little looks into the minutiae of like life with small children, like the school drop off, or the taking the school guinea pig home. Just really realistic scenarios, you could say. I've got some pictures here. I want to go through like some of my favorite episodes. I'll share my. If I present. 1 second. Is this? Yeah, okay. Hello, you're looking at me. So if I show you this, these are all of the episodes of Bluey ranked. If you don't know this website, it's called Rating Graph, but not with two G's. The G in rating is like ratinggraph.com. And you can just type in any TV show and it'll tell you the IMDb ratings for every episode. And it's not perfect. It's just based on whatever people on IMDb liked, which is unreliable. But I find that it's a good way to go through a show and just pick out the episodes that are good. And if you don't want to watch every single episode, if you want to skip the really bad ones, you just you can go here. But this is just here as an aid for me to remember what some of the better episodes are. I think they're all good. There's no really bad episodes in my opinion, but there are some that people find kind of annoying. I don't think I'll have to go into that, but Bike was the first episode. Season 1, episode 11, called Bike, I think was the first episode. You can tell it's like the first really good one, where I realised that Bluey was like a really special cartoon. Like, this isn't just about kids. This is a show that is written by parents about parenting. I definitely am not going to be able to find the right one. Where is Bike? Yeah, so Bike is one of my favourite episodes. The whole thing is scored to Ode to Joy, the Beethoven symphony. It's a remix of it with sort of modern instruments, but it's got that wonderful, like, it starts simply and it just builds and builds and builds over this like 5-minute cartoon where first Bluey's riding this bike and Bluey's a girl, by the way. This is something that I wanted to talk about. Bluey looks a lot like a boy, and not only that, she looks like her dad. This character on the bench is her dad, and she looks like almost identical to him, but she's a girl. She's voiced by a girl. It's weird. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. It's something you just have to get used to when you're watching it. But Bluey is finding it hard to ride a bike and she wants to give up. That's basically it. So every episode of Bluey, it starts with a little moment to learn from. It's a very... I don't know why I have my headphones in because I'm not actually watching anything. I haven't got anyone to listen to. The writers of Bluey, they're very familiar with Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. The Hero with 1,000 Faces. I'm not going to go into it here, but this idea that every story has the same structure, where you start off with a character who needs something, who wants something, they have a lack that they fulfill through going on this journey, through going on this quest, whatever the events are, the conflict of the story is. Whatever happens, it's all in some ways in service of that lack, that need that they had at the beginning, where they grow as a person and they learn an important lesson. And every episode of Bluey is structured like this, where in the first 30 seconds to 1 minute, there'll be a lesson that a character needs to learn. You'll see them fail at something in a small way, or just some kind of offhand comment of, a little piece of wisdom that they need to learn. And the rest of the episode, it just enforces that and has them come to this conclusion. So for Bluey, it's a really simple setup for a cartoon, right? Bluey wants to give up on riding a bike because it's too hard, because she fails and the failure makes her feel bad and she doesn't want to do it again. This is something that adults struggle with, and children especially struggle with. And all that happens in the episode is that Bluey, she gives up, she doesn't want to do it anymore. And instead of making her do it again, her dad just sits on the bench and tells her to watch the other children who are playing at the park. And all of the children she's watching are struggling to do these various things. Her sister can't drink from the water fountain because it's too high up. There's another dog who can't go on the monkey bars because she's too weak or whatever. And her cousin Muffin is trying to put on a rucksack, but she keeps just spinning. She's got one strap on and she's trying to put on the other one. She keeps spinning round and around and around. Again, something that children actually do. Like, this is something that real children struggle with. Is just something simple like putting on a rucksack. But I guess I can't really convey what's good about the episode except that just to watch it, where these these 4 mini stories come together as one like concert, like that, the music building and the struggle and the failure and the giving up and then trying again and then finally overcoming it. And I remember I actually cried watching this episode. I guess I was feeling quite emotional that day because that end where you're like finally hearing the like Ode to Joy refrain, if you know the song, it's like a really victorious music. And Bluey and her dad are just sitting on the bench, like cheering on these kids who've like learned how to do this one tiny thing. And the wonderful thing about being a parent and watching children learn these things is that once they learn something, they never go back to that state where they can't do it anymore. Like they've fundamentally changed what they are. They go from a state of not knowing to like growing up a little bit. Every single day is like a process of learning something new and going from that infantile state to a slightly more grown up state. You get to see it right before your eyes. That's what I really liked about Bike. It's just such a simple concept that's just executed really, really well, in my opinion. I think, okay, I thought maybe cows had joined. Let's go on to my next one. I really have no idea if anyone's interested in this, but I just wanted to talk about Bluey, so I'm just going to keep talking about it. Let's talk about camping. Now, camping is not just a really good episode, another one that made me cry, by the way, but it's also, the whole thing is a massive reference to one particular episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. It's a kind of classic episode called Darmok. The character, you can see here, there's Bluey kneeling by the water, and the character with her is, are you seeing this? Yeah. The character's name is Jean-Luc, which is a massive lampshade that this is a TNG reference. Did I say the Next Generation? Jean-Luc Picard. This character's named after him. In case you were in any doubt about what this episode was referencing, Darmok, the Star Trek episode, is about Picard being sort of kidnapped by these aliens and beamed down to a planet where he has to fight a monster with the ruler of an alien race, whose language he doesn't understand. It's really like a simple concept where usually in Star Trek all of the various races of aliens, they can understand each other because they have such advanced computers that there's just an instant translation. Even with races that they've never met before, the computer learns the new language fast enough that they never have to do it. But in Darmok, they can't translate the language because it's so metaphorical. Like it's such a conceptual language that none of the words that the alien's saying can be translated. Anyway, in Bluey, the dog is just speaking French. It's a French dog. They're on holiday. Jean-Luc's parents are just French tourists who brought them to this Australian campsite where Bluey's family is staying. And they, instead of fighting a monster together, they are pretending that Bluey's dad is the monster, and they team up to try and like take him down. They can't speak the same language, so they're like drawing on the walls. They're like acting out things together, and they form this really close friendship over the course of just a few days of staying on the same campsite. And at the end, there's just this really sad moment where Jean-Luc is Bluey says like, "Oh yeah, I'll see you tomorrow," but Jean-Luc, he knows he's leaving the next day. His holiday is over, and his parents are leaving. He's unable to say that to Bluey because he can't speak English. So he just has to say bye, and then Bluey like goes looking for him the next day. She looks everywhere in the campsite. She goes to all the places that they were together, and she can't find him. And she just like sits down and cries. It's really sad because she just forms this like really like fun friendship with this kid. And then there's a little bit at the end where they meet again. It's a happy ending, but it's just a really sweet little story, and it's a cool like Star Trek reference. I think it's like it's a cool episode for that reason, I think. What else have we got? Now, Rain is a recent episode, almost completely without dialogue. I'm sure that this episode is going to win an award or something because it's so beautifully animated. And this episode is just about the weird game that Bluey makes up to play when it starts raining, like really tipping it down with rain. And the front part of her house starts to flood with water from the gutter that's sort of slowly running down the garden path. And she starts to like make a dam out of her toys, and her mum keeps trying to stop her because she doesn't want her toys to get wet in this sort of muddy water. And they have this little struggle. It's just there's no dialogue in it. There's just this wonderful music and the beautiful animation of the clouds and the lightning, and then at the end this double rainbow. It's really nice. Something that I really like in Bluey is the fact that their dogs mean that they have tails, and I just find it really cute whenever they wag their tails when they're happy. It's something that the animators obviously had fun with, where they, in addition to the normal facial expressions that you can animate a character with, all of the dog characters, they wag their tails in like a gentle, gentle contentment when they're like hugging someone they love, or just enjoying themselves. And then when they're really excited, they'll like wag them furiously. It's just it's cute. It's a nice little touch. I started noticing it when there's one episode called Duck Cake, where Bingo, Bluey's little sister, has to choose what kind of cake she wants for her birthday, and they're flicking through it, and they get to the duck cake page, and Bingo says, "I want that one," and the mum says, like, "That's going to be really difficult to make. Are you sure you want that?" And Bingo says, "Yeah, I definitely want that. That's my tail started wagging when I saw that one." And then she says, "How do animals know when they're happy if they don't have tails?" Which is like a kind of a fourth wall breaking little joke that I enjoyed. What else have we got? Takeaway. I had an argument with my husband right before this stream where I think this episode is a reference to Seinfeld. He thinks it's not, though. If you don't know, there's an episode of Seinfeld where all that happens in the entire episode is that they wait in a Chinese restaurant to be seated for the 20 minutes that it takes for an episode to run. There's lots of mini stories within it, like lots of things going on at once. Like, what do you call it? Like a tableau. It's like a tapestry of things going on in this one location. And that's kind of what's happening in this episode of Bluey, where they're just waiting to get their takeaway. And in this one, they're standing outside, but there's a tap there that anyway, there's all sorts of things going on, and it's only going to take like 5 minutes for them to wait for this takeaway to be ready. But in that 5 minutes, they just pack it with this and then this and then this, and then all this stuff going on all at once. Again, really just observational. Apparently, they love Chinese food in Australia. I didn't know that. I didn't think it was unlikely to be the case, but just something. I guess they're closer to China than we are. What else have we got here? Pass the Parcel. This is an episode that I felt like massively vindicated by. It's a really funny episode where this character doesn't have a name. He's just called Lucky's dad because he's the father of a dog called Lucky. And the whole episode takes place over about 8 different birthday parties. Just you kind of get the impression that these parties all take place over the course of a year. And at the first party, they're playing Pass the Parcel. And I don't know if any of you've played any of these, either variations of this game, where the children all sit in a circle and they eat. The music plays, and then whoever's holding the parcel, they pass the parcel around. Whoever's holding it when it stops, you get to open it. And when I was a kid, my mum didn't want anyone to lose. She didn't want the disappointment of unwrapping the present or like not landing on them or whatever. So we'd play this version of the game where every layer of paper has like a little present inside. And this is something that a lot of parents did, where every time the parcel stops at you get to unwrap it, and even though you don't get the present inside, like the big present, you get something little. And it's a way of like sharing out the presents on a birthday party, that for parents who don't want their kid to be the kids to be disappointed. They want everyone to feel special on the special day. And that's how they play it in Bluey as well, with lots of little presents, and they also have the parent who's controlling the music stops the music to make sure that it stops on every child, and every child gets to have something. No one's left disappointed. But Lucky's dad, he's hardcore, and he wants to play it the way that he played it as a child, which is no mid-layer little presents, only the large present in the center with the layers of wrapping paper around it. And don't watch as the music is playing and when it's starting and stopping. Just start the music and stop it after a random amount of time, and whoever gets it gets to unwrap the paper. And he makes all of the children cry by playing it this way, because he's so adamant about it that he thinks this is the correct way to play. All of the children cry. And then over the course of these 7 birthday parties, they play it Lucky's dad's way, with the kind of hardcore rules, with the disappointment, and the children get more and more used to it each time. They cry a bit less, and they kind of just they get over it, and they prefer playing it this way because it's more exciting. When there's a possibility of losing, they feel the tension more. Which is, without even being able to articulate it, I guess that's why Lucky's dad wanted to play it this way. That's why that was the appeal of the game in the first place. And as a parent, I feel so vindicated by that worldview, where so often these children are being coddled more and more, so that they're sheltered from feeling any disappointment or any aggravation, any of life's letdowns. They're considered to be too emotionally immature to deal with anything negative. And what actually I think is happening is that what you get is you get just one troublesome child in each group. One child that really kicks off when they get disappointed. They cause a fuss, and it just kind of dampens the whole atmosphere, and everyone's kind of depressed after that. It just saps all of the fun out of it when it's just one kid who can't handle can't handle losing, and so you have to have all these participation trophies, and everyone's got to feel special. So I don't think that's right. I think it's good to get kids used to feeling a little bit of disappointment, in a safe environment. It's okay, well, you're at a party. It's okay, well, just get over it. Go eat some cake. have a good time. It's it's not the worst thing in the world. To learn some emotional maturity, to learn an amount of stoicism, of learning to get over feeling bad sometimes. And then it makes the game more exciting when there's a possibility of really losing, and it makes whoever's birthday it is, if it makes it more special for that kid if they actually are the only one who's getting all of the celebration and praise and excitement. It's all in service of them. It makes it more special when it does become your birthday. So I really like that episode for that reason, and it's just really funny the way that all of the other parents are really they're really mad at Lucky's dad for making all the kids cry, but he's so adamant about it. Absolutely based. Lucky's dad is my new favorite character. Okay, that was Rain. What's this one? This one's called Cafe. This is the last episode I'll talk about, I think. What's this one? Oh, this one was good too. There's a Turtle Boy. I'll talk about Cafe first. Cafe is a really simple story. This one's about Bandit, which is the name of Bluey's dad. And Bluey and Bingo come to the same play park every morning at the crack of dawn. Bandit brings his kids to the park, and they meet this other family who also bring their kids at the same time. And Bandit is trying to make friends with this other dad, this dad at the park. While the kids are playing, he's just chatting away to the dad, and they, they're getting on and they want to talk to each other, but they keep. It's kind of hard to describe what this episode is about, but it's about making friends as an adult. It's really hard to find those people who you feel a connection with. You want to see them again, and you kind of have to. You kind of have to wait for the kids to become friends so that you can see each other more, because It's not like asking someone on a date where you can just say to another adult, like, oh, it looks like our kids enjoy playing together. Would you mind if, would you like to come to my house? It's weird to say that to someone after meeting them once. So you kind of have to keep going to the same place and just hope you see them again. If you like someone, it makes it sound creepy when I say it like that, but I honestly think this is the only way that you can make friends as an adult, or as an adult with children. You just have to find parents who have children the same age and hope you see them enough times that you become friends without having to like force the situation. You don't have to like, invite them out on a little play date, whatever. This is again, it's just like a really observational episode of what it's like. This it's just one scenario played out again and again with the kids becoming closer and closer friends, and while in parallel, Bandit is becoming friends with this other dad. I liked it. And finally, I'm going to talk about Turtle Boy, which is I'm going to keep saying this. It's another observational episode. It's an episode about a Turtle Boy toy that's been left in the park, and the Bingo, the Bluey's younger sister, wants to take Turtle Boy home. She finds this toy. She goes, okay, well, no one's here. This is mine. I want to take it home. And the dad explains, like, no, this belongs to someone else, and we don't know if they're going to come back for it or not. So we're going to have to leave it here and see if it's there when we come back. So they leave it there, and then we're introduced to this other family who turn up. The kid wants to take Turtle Boy home, and just like the last time we saw the scenario, the mum says, no, the thing you're supposed to do is to leave the toy and see if anyone comes back for it. And if they don't come back for it, then we'll take it next time, if it's still there. So even though this family never meets Bluey's family, they have this. It's almost like they're in competition with each other, like who's going to get the Turtle Boy, and then. Bingo really, really wants to take it, so she ends up hiding the toy, so that it won't be found by the other parents, and she feels guilty about that and has to own up to it. But I just thought it was really sweet. And actually, this family, the one on screen now that we've never been introduced to before, they never actually meet the main characters. It's just a one-off thing. The boy is deaf, and the mother is like signing to him, and he's signing back. And it's an example of what people would call like representation, of having like a disabled character in a cartoon, but it doesn't feel. Somehow it just feels kind of sincere and not forced in any way. It's just kind of there. It's completely seamlessly integrated into the episode, and maybe that's just a case of personal taste, but I just thought it was a good example of this done well. It's just kind of awfully done. Oh, Cows is here. Sorry, Cows, you've been waiting long. Oh, I better put my headphones on. I won't be able to hear you.
That's okay.
Hello.
I've been chilling here for a little bit. I DM'd you. Some things have happened.
Oh dear. Is everything all right? Yeah, have to tell me. I better not show that on screen.
Yeah, please don't.
Sorry, I forgot that I was sharing screen.
But Bluey makes everything better. So.
Did you have any? Do you want to talk about the episodes that you've put in the super chat kindly?
They're so good. I think I've said it on here before, but I started watching Bluey because I was watching it with a younger sibling, and I just got totally immersed into it. And it's very rare for kids' cartoons nowadays to kind of have that effect. And there are plenty of like articles. There's been, I think, like a few like news reports about how Bluey specifically is so impactful to people of all ages. It's just so good. It's just so good. It's art.
I'm just getting up a few images for you to talk about your favorite episodes. Sleepy Time is one that I've heard other people talk about a lot, and then people have like personally messaged me and gone like, "Have you seen this episode of Bluey? It's amazing." And it's another one it's a really good use of classical music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just okay. If I put up, let me just share this. Oops. So this is Sleepy Time, which is an episode that takes place all in what on earth? In Bingo's dream. Do you want to explain what
Yeah.
happens in the episode? Or why you like it?
Yeah, it's just I feel like the soundtrack of it, for those who haven't watched, it's Jupiter from Holst's the planets I
Sweet?
forgot
Is
what
it sweet?
yeah. Something
Symphony?
like that. I'm very kind of out of my element today. I apologize. But um Bingo God, it's escaping me now. But it's so good. It goes through something so innocent as like a child's dream. I think it was Bingo looking for her toy bunny, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah, she's her mum puts her to bed and says, and Bingo says she wants to be a big girl and stay in bed and not and she's not going to get up and like pester the parents. She's not going to wake up in the night, and it's like that kind of anxiety that children go through of going from that phase of constantly like badgering the parents and waking them up in the night to like becoming a bit more grown up and sleeping through the night. There's that kind of transition. I think it's kind of celebrating and observing, and interspersed with the dream, there's these scenes of the parents and the kids sort of in their nighttime wanderings around the house, like getting up and getting a glass of water and going to the toilet and things like that.
yeah.
I guess a lot of it is sort of just in the animation as well. Each of the planets is animated, and like you said, it's got the music, and I guess it's hard to describe the appeal of it without just watching it. But
Yeah.
did you have anything else to say about it, or should we go on to the next one?
Let's move on. This one is I need to jog my memory, but let's see what we have next.
Army is an episode about I believe it's about ADHD. Without like saying that's what it's about, it seems to be about a kid who either has ADHD or has been diagnosed with it, or suspected of having it. And,
yeah, and this episode specifically struck a note with me because one of my younger siblings is the dog in this episode is named Jack, and my brother is named Jack, and he also has ADHD, and it was very just that alone was enough for me. But the entire episode of the parents and the school trying to accommodate his condition, again, like what you were saying about the episode with the deaf dog, it didn't feel out of place. It was very natural. It didn't seem like they were virtue signaling. They weren't trying to be preachy or anything. Just trying to find it's about this boy trying to, find how to control his body. He has the type of ADHD that he kind of makes involuntary movements, and by being physically active and playing army with this dog, I forgot his name. Do you remember?
No, the red dog. I can't remember what he's called.
Yeah, the red dog.
The red dog. His dad is a soldier, so he's always playing army.
Yeah,
and he like pretends to be the commander, and he's giving Jack orders. And because he's really excited about playing the game, he's actually able to follow orders, like seemingly for the first time in his life, to being able to follow the instructions properly and not get distracted. So that's what's really sweet about it. Rusty, because Rusty, isn't he?
Rusty,
He's red.
yeah. But yeah, it's so cute. And then at the end, obviously spoilers, but the episode's like 7 minutes. The soldier dad comes back, and they get to try his army rations.
Yeah, no, it is sweet. It's I don't know. It seems so counteractive to like what we'd normally see. I feel like at the start of the episode, when it's clear that he has ADHD, like to an adult watching it, it's obvious that he's describing the symptoms of ADHD, like being easily, twitching a lot, kind of just fidgeting, rather not twitching like Tourette's, but just fidgeting a lot, like forgetting things and getting distracted. It sounded like, okay, well, they're describing ADHD symptoms. And from there, you might expect the episode to go in a direction of kind of coddling him and saying like, oh yeah, well, he's just different. This is the way he is, and there's nothing we can do about it. But the episode takes this completely different view of things where it's shown that he can actually sit still and focus when it's something he's really into and he's really excited about it. It's not that like he can choose to turn it on and off, or he's just like a bad kid or anything. It's just that he needs this friendship is a really good thing for him. Like playing pretend soldiers is like a really useful thing for his like mental state. It's a good like motivator for him.
And it's implied that so the parents took him to the school where he met this the red dog Rusty to play army with them, and the teacher immediately looks at Jack, the dog with ADHD. She's like, I think you'd play very nicely with this dog, like just showing that she knew what she was in for. I love Calypso, the teacher. She's so nice.
Yeah. That sort of that school and that teacher seems like the teacher in the school that every kid like would want to go to.
Yeah.
You also wrote down the name of the episode is Chest.
Chest.
That's because the kids think that the name of chess is chest.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you like about this one?
This one, it was fun because usually it kind of paints Bandit in a different light, because he's usually the kind of one that goes along with what the kids want to do. Plays into their rules of their game. But one day he has a chessboard out. The girls want to learn how to play chess, and he's super strict by the book. You do this, you have to get good. And the girls are calling the pawns prawns. They're calling the pieces in their hands horses. And
the knights,
castle heads. Yeah.
Perfectly legitimate.
And just trying to make up their own ways to play. And
Bingo immediately is like proven to be too like not emotionally ready for chess when she gets upset when the pawn like dies, like when they take the piece and it gets rejected from the board and put in this like cake tin that they're using to put the discarded pieces. Mm-hmm. She gets like way too upset about it, and he goes like, I think you're too young for this game.
Yeah. And then towards the end, they Chili, the mom, she goes up to the dad and is kind of gives this little speech about how what was it? You've watched this episode, right?
Yeah. Well, she thinks that the girls are too young to play chess and they're not really interested in learning it properly, and he's like, she suspects him of trying to kind of groom them into being these like intellectual kids. Like, I think all parents have that kind of fantasy that they might have really smart kids that is going to be like a musical virtuoso, and they're going to be really good at chess, and they're going to have all these skills that we don't have. Like you get these like tiger parents who want their kids to be better than they are by training them like from this young age. You think you can like mold them into these really smart, really like amazing adults. So I think that's what Chili's like suspects Bandit is doing, is that he wants them to learn chess, not because he thinks that they're going to find it fun, but because he wants to have like smart kids. Like he wants them to do something that other people think is smart.
Mm-hmm. But then at the end of the episode, they just kind of end up playing with the pieces in the cake tin with like the rest of their little toys, and it's cute.
Yeah, because that's how they want to play. I found that again, it really is a kind of true observation that there are parents who want to do that, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I don't know if I completely agree with the philosophy of the show in this episode, where Chili is kind of vindicated as being correct, and kind of like Bandit's going too far, where he's kind of imposing too much on these girls, like trying to teach them chess when they're not interested and they're not old enough. But I think to some extent there is value in that, where you in my opinion at least, as parents, it is sometimes useful to introduce things when the kids aren't quite ready for them, or when you're not sure. Like, you need to introduce things almost before you think that the child is ready. For the optimal level of advancement is to continue presenting things that are just above their level of comprehension. Mm-hmm. And I think that these skills, like learning a musical instrument or like learning chess, that do become almost like a status signifier later in life, it can become really useful. And it's it's a recurring trope in anime, I've noticed, where often when kids are like when boys are seen as like acting out or being delinquent, the parents will often put him into karate classes or like something really disciplined. Instead
Yeah.
of like trying to give him more freedom, they go the opposite way and they, like expect more of him. Like get him into like a sport where he has to learn discipline and he
Hmm.
will like rise to that occasion. So I think I'm kind of a philosophy of parenting where it is sometimes good to introduce things that your kids aren't comfortable with so that they can rise to meet it and so that
Hmm.
they will have these like important skills later in life. So
This was
maybe I'm more like Bandit than I am like Chili in this case.
Yeah, I was when Hat and I sat down and watched this, we both talked about it for quite a bit afterwards because we kind of agree with the philosophy of the episode that it's kind of anti tiger parent in the sense that you shouldn't like push your kids to do things that they physically don't have the brain chemistry to do yet or the sort of like emotional like knowledge that the pawn isn't actually dying. You can just, restart the game and do it again. But at the same time, it's good to put like kids in that position of being a bit uncomfortable, being a bit frustrated with the game if it's something that they do want to learn. Because I think at the beginning of the episode, the kids were the ones who wanted to learn. It wasn't Bandit. He was saying, "I think you guys are a bit too young for this," but they were like, "No, we want to play. We want to play." And then they ended up getting disappointed by it. So
Yeah, true. I think you're right. Did you want to talk about Stump Fest because you liked the episode, or because you wanted to point out the degeneracy in the in the
oh
male
god.
characters having their nails painted?
Well, my favorite part of this episode was actually not that. It was the fact that Chili and the neighbors were uncanonically but implied to be drunk during this episode,
I
watching
didn't
all the
notice that.
dads cut down the stumps in the yard, and they were drinking some quote lemonade.
I really like the kind of the community spirit of this episode. Like the
Yeah.
idea that you can be friends with your neighbors and the neighbors' kids. Like the kids are all playing together, the dads are all together and like cutting down the stump, like removing the stump from the grass, and the mums are all like just watching all of this happening and drinking lemonade.
Hmm.
Like I'd love to have a group of friends like that where you can just the men can talk to the men, the wives can talk to the wives, and the kids can play with the kids. It's just a perfect like ensemble to
Hmm.
get together. And I love Lucky's dad as well. Someone mentioned in the subreddit that I was reading just before the stream that Lucky's dad is the one who always gets roped into the kids' games because he lives next door.
Yeah.
Like he like doesn't know what's going on, but he's like on board with like whatever they want to do. He'll like participate in it in his
Yeah.
own way.
I love Lucky's dad. He's great. But for those who are not familiar with this one, the whole point of the episode is that the dads were uprooting the stumps while the wives like kind of watched and the kids played. And for some reason, they were very defensive of this particular stump because they made it into their beauty salon, and they came to the sort of agreement, the compromise that if the dads go to the beauty salon, then they can have the stump. So yeah, it's just a comfy watch.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those cases where it is funny that the dads like agree to this, like, oh, we'll get our nails painted and then we'll dig up the stump. When really, like in real life, I would have just been like, no, this stump is for digging up. You knew this was going to happen. Like, this is a stump. This isn't a beauty salon. Like, the game's over now. Like, that's. I would have been way more strict with these kids than the characters
I
in the story
think
are.
I think that the whole purposely making this the dad's issue, the dads getting their nails painted, similar to the episode where I think the kids were making Bandit and his brother. God, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember either. He's got two brothers. One of them's called Stripe, and one of them's called.
I think it was Stripe. They made Bandit and Stripe get married,
Oh
pretending to
yeah,
be horses. And I don't think it's like any pause. I think it's just because to a child, it's funny that men are being put into these kind of humiliating situations. But it's in good fun. It's not to try to, brainwash them or anything. But
yeah. I guess it is easy to excuse it when it's a show that you like, and I agree with you. But I do wonder if it's just a case of like, I like it, therefore I want to defend it.
Yeah, I know. I'm very guilty of that.
It's,
but...
you know, it's a classic thing where it's funny to see like social norms turned on their head. So it's funny to see these two adult male characters being like twisted to the wills of their daughters to to like who are like forcing them to pretend to be horses and to get married. You know, it's done for the sake of comedy. It's not done as like it's good. You know, it's not like celebrated that these guys are pretending to be horses or pretending to get married. It's like we're mocking that idea, not that we're enjoying like that as a serious suggestion. So that's kind of an important distinction to make, I guess. So those were all the episodes that you named. I can't remember if there was something else I was going to say. Any other TV shows you wanted to talk about? I can't believe I've always talked for an hour about Bluey.
Yeah, me too.
Any sort of favorite characters or themes, observations about the show as a whole? Fan theories. Have you heard the fan theory that Chili, the mum, had a miscarriage, and it's like very subtly hinted at?
I was the one who told you about that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard about it since.
Yeah. I mean, I think we spoke about that being kind of, you know, a little bit wishy-washy, but I don't know. If it is a genuine sort of analysis of that, then great. But I don't think that's what was implied myself. But
yeah, I don't think that really needs to be in a kids show.
Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, I don't think it really. You know, it's so subtle that even if it was put in there for the adults, it seems like they were really going out of their way to make sure the kids wouldn't understand what was being like alluded to.
Have you also seen that the Bluey on Disney Plus is a lot more PG than the Bluey that actually gets like televised in Australia?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
There's
they've censored things, have they?
Yeah, there's plenty of lines that have been like cut out or replaced. There's one specific one that was a joke about Bandit, quote, getting the snip, like getting neutered as a dog.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I must have watched the safe English version then, not the based Australian one.
Yeah, but I think the Disney version cut that one out, and then there's a few other ones.
I know that they took out the word thongs because in Australia thongs means what we'd call flip flops, like the kind of shoe where there's a little bit that goes between your toes. Like in Australia they call that a thong. But thong, I didn't know that. A thong in America and in England means like a piece of underwear for like sexy women. So it's they just took out that line completely.
That's funny. I wasn't aware of that.
And there was one instance I heard of where there was a game that Bluey played with her dad that was seen as too dangerous for English TV.
What?
Where she was sliding along the bathroom floor like a penguin on like they put down water on the tile so she could slip along, but the English censors thought that was too dangerous, so they took that out of the episode.
Huh. I think I remember that happening.
Oh, and have you seen the episode where this one I think does kind of border on being kind of pause because they lean on it so much, where Bandit pretends to be pregnant with Bingo. He's carrying her around in like a baby carrier, and she's all curled up in the carrier pretending to be a baby.
Oh, I think I know which episode you're talking about.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was kind of uncomfortable because they go through the entire pregnancy and then also like I found the birth was the uncomfortable part for me. Like they get in he gets in the paddling pool and they like deliver the baby and he's like pretending to push and they're pretending to be the doctors and that's another like bit where Lucky's dad gets roped in to help. They like shout across to Lucky's dad to come across and be the midwife. And he's watching the cricket. I don't know if you watch cricket at all, but I never watch cricket. But I have a dad who likes cricket, so I kind of really related to that. Where he shouts back to his wife like, "Tell me when there's a wicket," because cricket is such like a long form sport that you kind of even if you're watching it, you don't have to be watching it the whole time.
Yeah.
So like that's the kind of thing that's like exactly the kind of thing that would happen in my household, where Dad has to go away from the TV for a bit, and he goes, "Oh, tell me when there's a wicket."
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, we've got Lady Charlotte in the chat. She says, men here wear thongs all year round. The shoes.
Hmm.
Yeah, Australia is like I have no desire to go to Australia because it's so hot and because of all the spiders and creepy crawlies, and it's just such a long way away that I've made peace with the fact that I'm never going to go there. I kind of want to visit, but I don't want to go enough to spend like 20 hours on a flight and to melt my my body trying to trying to live in that environment.
I would take my. I have a few little things planned before I am able to settle down with kids, and I want to have Christmas at least once in a warm climate, and that's one of the places that you can go to that's like very popular. That if you want to have like a summertime Christmas, you can go there.
I find that is anathema to everything I think about Christmas. I find it repulsive, the idea of having Christmas in a warm climate.
Yeah, it's just for me. I'm the same way, but I have to know. I have to soothe my autism in this facet of life. So
just run the experiment to see if you can feel Christmassy in a
yes,
in a hot place.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's an episode of Bluey about this veranda Santa.
Yeah.
It's and on a Christmas day, all the kids get given like pool toys, and they all go in. Or maybe it's Christmas Swim is the one I'm thinking of, where they all get pool toys for Christmas, and they take their toys and like they go for a swim in the back garden. I'm like, no swimming on Christmas Day. That's not right. Like you Australians, like do whatever you want, but I'm not. Not participating in this kind of ridiculous Christmas tradition.
And Bluey got sad because her new doll got like wet, and it's like, yeah, you just took it in the pool.
Okay, I've got a topic suggestion from Sir Garnet, but it seems like I missed it last week. So I'm gonna have a look at that, Sir Garnet. I'm sorry you missed it this time, but we're having such a darn good time talking about Bluey today. But we'll get round to it. I know that DRT also sent a super chat asking to look at non-human female characters being sexualized in media. So he gave the examples of like Tali from Mass Effect, like Alien.
Okay.
Yeah, like Alien women. I guess it might also cover like I'm trying to think of like the only thing I can think of is like Lola Bunny from Space Jam, the female Bugs Bunny, who had like she had like her ears tied up in a ponytail and like big boobies and a big round butt. It was kind of like it was a pretty sexual character to have, not only as being not a human but also in like a kid's cartoon.
We can discuss the lusty Argonian maid.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
Oh my goodness. It's one of the books that you can find in the Elder Scrolls games, and the Argonians are like the lizard people. And there's one like hidden book called The Lusty Argonian Maid. And it's just that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's the thing is like I get why they do it, obviously. Like having aliens look like humans just makes them so much more relatable, but if you think about what animals look like on our planet, you kind of think like this is the variety that life can take, like even intelligent life. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no reason why alien, like the females, whatever that even means on other planets, the females of other species would be even remotely attractive to like men of our species. Like it's like having it's complete fantasy. The idea that there's like could be these other races of aliens who have like these sexy wide hips and boobies and like a female sounding voice.
Yeah.
Did you know there's an episode of Star Trek where they actually try to explain the reason why all of the Star Trek aliens look like humans?
I didn't.
Well, it's an episode where they find like an ancient civilization that's treasure hunt.
There's a treasure hunt, like they find clues.
Okay, I don't care what the actual episode is about. The point is that there was an ancient civilization that's like died out millions of years ago that sent out like a seed of their DNA. They look like humans, but without like they haven't got any like noses or ears. Like they look like humans without any facial like prominent features.
Yeah.
And they like sent out their DNA onto like hundreds of other planets throughout the galaxy and beyond to like kickstart like the evolution process, and
It's
all
gonna
of
rely-
all of these things like evolved into human-looking aliens. So I find that very soothing to my intellectual rigor, like the idea that there actually is an excuse in Star Trek for why the aliens look like humans.
Yeah. I gotcha.
I'm pleased with that. I'm satisfied, even if it doesn't really make sense. But I don't care. It's good enough for me.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll tackle that in a future episode, and I'll see whatever Sir Garnet has got for us. I believe I'm allowed to announce the engagement of not only Birdie from a few weeks ago, but more recently than that, Amy is now engaged to another Alex. So, but two of our co-hosts are now engaged to men called Alex. Yay!
Yay!
We wish them hearty congratulations and much happiness in the preparation for their weddings. I've been planning for a while, anticipating this may be coming. I'd like to do a wedding special for Women's Hour, talking about wedding planning, talking about our favorite wedding TV shows or whatever comes up.
Ooh.
Wedding planning, what it's like being engaged to men called Alex. I'd like to do that sometime soon. So yes, we're very glad for them. I'm sure the chat agrees. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap this up?
Nothing for today. Just have a good night, everyone.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Under what I understand were quite difficult circumstances.
That's okay.
And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you again next time. Have a good night and a good weekend.
Bye.